How's it going? Today we're going to talk a little bit about getting your teens started down the right path in their driving career and how driveithome.org, a free parent resource with tips and advice, can help you coach them in safe driving skills that will last a lifetime. You've probably already covered the basics with them when they got their permit, and by now they likely have gone through driver's ed and have their license. The driver's license. Once they have this piece of government-issued plastic in their hands, mission accomplished, right? Well, not quite. First, let's start off with a question, a real easy one. You're watching a presentation called Steering Your Teen in the Right Direction, so you've probably figured out where this is going, but what do you think is the biggest threat to your teen's safety? A. Bullying, cyberbullying. B. Violence. C. Drugs. D. Infectious disease. E. Car crashes. If you answered car crashes, then you're absolutely correct. Car crashes are the #1 killer of teens in the United States, responsible for more deaths than other leading causes, including suicide and homicide. In a recent year, nearly 3,500 people died in crashes involving teen drivers. Put that in perspective, these victims would have filled about 50 school buses, and the number is even greater for crashes without deaths. In fact, by the time teen drivers graduate high school, half of them will be involved in some type of car crash. Those are big, troubling numbers. So what can you do? As a parent, you want to keep your kids safe, and you can if you understand the risks that they face on the road. So what are the biggest risks for your new teen driver? Distractions, peer passengers, speeding, driving at night, impaired driving, no seatbelts. Which of these do you think is the single biggest danger? Moms tend to think distraction, specifically texting or using the phone. Dads tend to think speeding and drinking. But really, all of these risks fall under one general problem, which is the most important to understand: inexperience. Think about it. These risks can present a problem to any driver, even those with years of experience behind the wheel. For new drivers, the risk is much greater. Let's talk distraction for a minute. Everyone knows that talking on your phone while driving is a bad idea. By the way, that includes talking while using hands-free technology like speakers and headsets too. Texting is even worse. But there are other distractions you face all the time that new teen drivers just haven't experienced. Time for another question. Which of these is a potentially lethal distraction for a new teen driver? A. Applying makeup. B. Looking for things in the glove box or reaching for a purse. C. Eating. D. Rubbernecking at things on the road, including car crashes, people, events, scenery, and advertisements. E. All of the above. The answer is all of the above. Some of these distractions occur in the car and can be easily prevented. Others, like car crash on the side of the road, are unavoidable. And there is another kind of distraction that is important enough to talk about all by itself: peer passengers, their friends and teammates. Here's another quick question. How many non-adult passengers do you think a teen driver can safely ride with? A. 1. B. 2. C. 3. D. No more than 2, as long as they're siblings. E. None. We threw a trick answer in there, and we're guessing you said D, but the correct answer is actually E. The research shows even one non-adult passenger increases the crash risk by 44%. And parents, this may come as a shock to you, but this includes younger siblings. As tempting as it may be to have your new teen driver to drop their little brothers or sisters off at school or practice so you can get out of the taxi business, it's not a good idea. It might be obvious why teens shouldn't drive with their friends: loud talking, goofing around in the car, turning the radio up too loud. But what's the problem with driving their younger siblings? Well, they know their bigger brothers and sisters all too well. They know how to make them laugh, how to make them upset, and generally, what buttons to push to get a rise out of them. Keep in mind that many states will allow brothers and sisters to ride with new teen drivers, but not because they're safer to drive with than other kids. It's allowed for convenience. Do you really want to put your kids in danger for the sake of convenience? The research is clear. New teen drivers shouldn't drive any young passengers. How long should they wait? Many states have a 6-month restriction, but several require a year of driving experience. If your teen and you can wait, a full year without young passengers is the safest policy. Driving at night is something most experienced drivers take for granted. For teens, this is an incredibly dangerous time behind the wheel. Mile for mile, 16 to 17-year-old drivers are 3 times as likely to be involved in a deadly crash at night than during the day. Question time again. Research shows that almost 17% of teen driving fatalities, ages 15 through 17, occur during which time? A. Dusk to 6 p.m. B. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. C. 9 p.m. to midnight. D. Any time after midnight. Does it surprise you to learn that most fatal crashes take place from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.? And while the hours between 9 p.m. to midnight may not yield the most fatal crashes, they're still very dangerous for inexperienced teen drivers. Remember, this is where impairment can come into play, and it's not just driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Driving while drowsy can be equally deadly. It's likely that your teen has a curfew later than 9 p.m., but depending on your state's laws, the cutoff hours for driving may be earlier. But don't stop there. You should definitely take the lead in setting your own nighttime restriction until your teen has enough experience driving at night.
Sir, look right here, please.
My Spanish language exam is tomorrow, and I really want to get a perfect score.
Sir, focus.
So I shouldn't even really be here right now.
That makes 2 of us.
I mean, I gotta study American history, and go to chess club, and run track.
And look right here.
But I'm not worried about Spanish,
Neither am I.
because my Spanish is really good. I mean, check it out. Vivo en un reloj, y me padres es un nube de tormenta.
Thanks for that. I'll turn to the camera, flash those gleamers. Great, next in line, please.
You know, I'm thinking of switching to French. I mean, you can still get the ladies with French, right? It's another romance language. It's just as good. Si or oui. What's the French word for yes?
Je n'aime pas.
Oui? Oui.
We've covered a lot of risks, but it's important to remember that they all fall under the same category of inexperience. What's the best way to address driver inexperience? No trick question here. It all comes down to practice, practice, practice. But how much practice does a new teen driver need? Let's see what you think. On average, how many hours of practice driving is required by state law for a teen to get their driver's license? A. None. B. Between 10 to 20 hours. C. Between 30 to 60 hours. D. Between 70 to 90 hours. E. 100 hours. On average, states required between 30 to 60 hours of behind-the-wheel experience in order to obtain a driver's license. Seems like a lot, right? Now, quick follow-up question. In many states, you must also log practice hours to get a license to be a cosmetologist or cut hair. On average, how many are required? The answer is a whopping 1,500 hours on average, and that's just to cut hair or give someone a manicure. Yet only 30 to 60 hours are required for your teen to operate a vehicle weighing several tons. And remember, that's just what the state requires. If you really want your teen to become an experienced driver, you should spend at least 30 minutes a week in the car with them driving during the first year they have their driver's license. Setting aside a time just for driving practice might be hard for busy families. An easy way to get in practice is to ask your teen to drive you while you do regular activities and errands, like going to the movies, the mall, grocery shopping, and even picking up their brothers or sisters from practice, as long as you're in the car. Finally, make sure you mix it up. If you need some practice tips, you can sign up for weekly lessons from the Digital Driving Coach at the Drive It Home website. Pop quiz. Under which of the following conditions should you drive with your teen? A. City traffic, rush hour. B. Highway driving. C. Snow and rain. D. At night. E. All of the above. Of course, it's all of the above. You're trying to build your teen's experience in a variety of situations. If the weather is bad and they've never driven in rain or snow, it's probably not a good idea for them to learn on their own. Take them out and teach them whenever you get the chance. This is the best way to build skills and experience. You and your teen know how important practice can be when it comes to sports, music, dance, or any activity they're involved in. You both know it also takes time to get better and develop that skill. Driving is no different, but luckily, you're not alone. driveithome.org can provide you with the resources you need to become the best driving coach for your teen.
My daughter's name is Christina. She's been driving for about 4 months now.
He's had his learning permit for a year and a half.
For about
10 months.
For about 7 months.
My daughter's going to get her license on Tuesday.
Just got her license yesterday.
It's a long-term commitment, and it's not just a matter of getting them licensed and getting them behind the wheel.
You're going to monitor progress just to make sure it's consistent with what you saw last year or the year before.
I'm going to keep advising her and teaching her and talking about driving situations for the rest of my life.
We're constantly learning. There's always different obstacles to overcome.
I think it's just going to be a lifelong endeavor.
It's my child. She's mine for life. I have to check on her all the time.
I think in terms of coaching my daughter to drive, I have to be very patient.
Be patient. Patience.
Patience. If I stay calm, seated next to her, explain things calmly, casually, I think it's going to be a lot better for her in the long run.
Make sure that you give them proper encouragement.
Encourage our children more.
Find those things that they're doing right and praise them for that.
You really want to emphasize what good things the kids are doing.
Teach them by showing them, by setting an example, because they emulate what we do, and it's important that we do things the right way.
I feel myself being more conscious about doing the right thing when my kids are in the car with me to try to set that example.
There are so many things that I do that I don't want him to do.
Like probably, drinking my coffee, while I'm driving.
Eating breakfast in the car.
I need to remember to buckle up before I turn the car on.
Sometimes I drive at one hand instead of two.
Maybe not having my hands at 9 and 3.
I probably go too fast when I drive.
Maybe not getting so excited when a driver cuts me off.
Not keeping a safe enough distance from the cars in front of me.
I'm guilty of reading texts. I'm definitely guilty of talking on the phone.
If you tell your kid, oh, I'm just going to read this text this one time, but I don't want you doing it, well, chances are you've already set the wrong example.
If I want her to do correct, I myself must do correct. So from now on and this point on, I will not text in the car nor talk on the phone. I am going to change as of today.
So far, we know that teen drivers are inexperienced and they need practice. As parents, it's your job to make sure they get it. But what's the best way for you to pass along your years of driving knowledge and experience to your teen, even when you're not in the car with them? Drive the way that you want your teen to drive. It may surprise some parents, but you are a role model for your teen. In fact, you've been a driving role model from the time you turned him around in his car seat. Every habit you have, good and bad, they've been watching. Take the way you deal with certain risks, for example. Wearing a seatbelt is a no-brainer, right? But out of all drivers, teens are the least likely group to wear their seatbelts. So it comes as no surprise that most teens killed in car crashes weren't wearing one. Putting on a seatbelt should be second nature for everyone, and as a parent, it's something you can impress upon your teen every time you get into the car by doing it yourself. How about speeding? Are you an aggressive driver? If you are, your teen has probably picked up on that. A better way to teach your teen about speeding is to slow down and adapt to driving conditions like rain, snow, or even heavy traffic. As an experienced driver, you know that when visibility is poor and roads are slippery, driving below the speed limit gives you more control. That's a better habit to pass along to your new teen driver. Patience is a good one too, and you can demonstrate it by keeping calm during your weekly practice drives. Remember, they're still learning.
My name is Laura. I'm 17 years old.
Dylan, I'm 18.
My name's Pooja. I'm 16 and I'll get my license in exactly 1 month.
I'm going to get my license in August.
My mom and my dad, they're both very good role models because they're actually very good drivers.
They follow the speed limit for the most part.
My mom always followed the rules, always wore a seatbelt, always stopped at stop signs.
My dad was the better driving role model because he was more strict about it.
My mom is a good role model, but she gets really, really mad really easily, so anybody could, make her mad while she's driving.
She taught me good things, but as driving herself, it wasn't really a good example. It was more like, do as I say, not as I do.
My mom's kind of a crazy driver, cutting people off sometimes and speeding.
My brothers are the same way. They speed a lot.
One thing my dad does is he tailgates a lot.
When I carpool with adults, I see them doing scary things such as texting and eating. They'll be looking at their phone and they'll start shifting over in lanes.
My brother, sometimes he gets really angry at other drivers and screams, and that can be kind of scary.
The driver is texting while driving, and I am a passenger. I feel scared because they're not paying full attention to the road.
I see some people texting and it's upsetting because one of my biggest fears is people being a statistic or being killed in car accidents.
The driver was eating something actually.
They can wait for that text or they can wait till they got home or something to eat.
We all learn to put on our belts. That's something my dad really enforces. But that's something he doesn't do himself. I always tell him, you need to put your belts on.
Even though my dad taught me how to drive, he wasn't necessarily good at following the rules.
She'll look for stuff in her glove compartment while she's driving, and that kind of scares me, if she crashes, because she's crashed in the past.
My dad popped out his phone and started reading emails while driving, and I freaked out, so I had to yell at him.
With 1 second, they could crash and they wouldn't even realize it.
If a kid sees their parent not wearing their seatbelt or speeding or anything like that, then the kid's gonna do the same thing.
It's kind of hypocritical if you say that we should do something and then you don't do it.
One of the most important things for parents to understand is GDL, which stands for Graduated Driver Licensing. GDL is a set of rules and laws specific to your state for your new teen driver. GDL regulates when teens can drive, with whom they can drive, and for what period of time they must abide by these rules. It also sets other restrictions, such as the use of cell phones and devices in the car. The key to GDL is a gradual introduction to greater driving challenges and exposures to new risks over time. If you take the time to understand why GDL works, you can help your teen become a better driver. Sounds great, right? All you need to do is make sure your teen abides by these rules and everything will be just fine. Rules are great, but you need to be part of this equation. One important fact to remember, GDL is the bare minimum required by your state, and each state is slightly different. Some have a few more requirements than others. But there is no state that requires all new drivers to follow all known best practices. That's where you as a parent have the greatest influence in keeping your teen safe. Remember that in your house, you make the rules, and your rules can be stronger than the laws in your state. For example, if your state's GDL has a driving curfew of 10 p.m., but your teen doesn't have experience driving at night, you can set the curfew to be earlier. One of the ways you can make sure you and your teen agree on these household rules is to sign an agreement. Let's call it a new driver deal. You can download one from the driveithome website or even create your own. In this agreement, you can set rules that address all the risks: seatbelt use, night driving, passengers, distractions, impairment, speeding, and even things like insurance and vehicle maintenance costs. Set dates to review these rules. As you and your teen get more comfortable behind the wheel, you can relax them slowly. Remember that the law only goes so far. You need to set the rules that make the most sense for your family. You can visit Drive It Home for tips and resources, but remember, you are the answer. Set strong family rules. No young passengers while your teen has a provisional license. In many states, passenger restrictions are lifted after 6 months. In others, the law requires 1 year, and we think that's the safest policy to follow for all teen drivers. When your teen is out, make sure you know who's driving, when are they driving, where are they going. No night driving without experience. The best car for your teen is yours, so that you can monitor their driving. Let your teen earn driving privileges. It's okay to say no. If you can get other parents on the same page, it will help all of you enforce the rules. Help your teen prepare for the unexpected and coach them to always be mindful and aware. Always drive the way you want your teen to drive. And practice, practice, practice.
Hi, Mom. I'm driving the car to Mary's.
Before you go, we need to have the talk.
Not again.
When this time, there's going to be role-playing.
What?
You just got your driver's license, and I just want to be sure that you're really ready to drive.
Oh, that kind of role play. Mom, look, I passed the test. I got my license. I'm ready.
Prove it. Get in the car. Seatbelt. Adjust your mirrors.
There are no mirrors.
Aren't there?
Yeah. Stop.
All right, well, just put it in drive and let's get going. Move your eyes around the road. See those two kids there kicking a ball on the road? What are you gonna do?
Slow down, get ready to stop.
Well, that one was easy. Okay, you're driving down a secluded road. Mary's sitting next to you. She slowly starts to move closer, slowly leaning. Mom! We are improing.
I'm leaving.
What do you do?
Park, I guess.
Wrong. That was a trick question. Mary is not going to be allowed alone in this car with you for at least 6 months, so get back in the car. Use the door. Bing, bing, bing.
What are you doing?
You are not wearing a seatbelt. Hey, that guy just cut you off. What are you going to do?
Who raised you? I hope you see me in your nightmares, you son.
What are you doing?
Exactly what you do.
You know, I only say those things as an example of what not to do.
Right.
Hello? Sure. It's for you.
Hello?
Son?
Dad?
Yes, it's me. Just a reminder, no talking or texting while driving.
How do you know that I'm talking and
I'm always watching you.
Dad.
I'm in the den.
Ooh, lightning round. Okay, a UFO descends above the highway. What do?
Take a picture.
Wrong. You keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. That vampire's trying to hitch a ride with you. What do?
Leave them there.
Correct. You have to invite them in, otherwise they can't get you.
How do you even know that?
Your car's just been struck by lightning. You've traveled back in time and you see a younger version of yourself standing by the side of the road. Do you give yourself a ride?
Yeah, sure.
No! If you get close to yourself, you can cause a disturbance in the space-time continuum. Haven't you ever...
Mom, enough!
Okay. All right, to tell you what, how about you drive me over to Mary's house now, and if you do okay, then you can go over later by yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Mom!
What?
Seatbelt.